So guys, Renegades launches in just a handful of hours, but today I wanted to make a video just going over all of the biggest changes that we know about coming with Renegades. Things like Vanguard alerts and Vanguard orders, our updates to our vault, power catch-up, and a whole lot more. So let's just dive straight in. First up, with a summary of quite literally everything inside of Renegades thanks to the Renegades content calendar. Now, whilst this isn't a full breakdown of what we can expect from the multi-year roadmap we should be getting, I believe, sometime early next year, this just summarizes basically everything you can expect within Renegades itself. So we of course have our Renegades campaign and Lawless Frontier activity, a brand new exotic mission, a brand new dungeon Equilibrium, a new weapon type known as blasters, and a new exotic Praxic Blade, which is our lightsaber. Seasonal power carries over, all exotic weapons and armor featured. Edge of Fate featured gear continues, vault space increase by 300, vault space sorting improvements, universal exotic armor ornaments, returning player bonuses and rewards, 300 power catch-up, portal activity additions including new solo ops, fireteam ops, and introducing arena ops, which is 6-player match-made activities, as well as the return of pinnacle ops, Vox Obscura, and Derealize, portal rewards and cosmetic refresh, orders system, and weekly ritual Vanguard alerts, as well as continued weekly modifiers and events like the Dawning, Arms Week, Iron Banner, and a whole lot more. Now, diving into all of that stuff individually, let's first go over the power updates coming with Renegades. Obviously, during the last couple months, Bungie has been continuously iterating on power leveling inside of Destiny thanks to the updates that came with Edge of Fate. When Edge of Fate launched, the power leveling system was not really good and everyone was forced into doing solo ops to level up quickly. That has completely changed, so now you can just go into the game, play whatever activity you want as long as it has bonus drops, and all of those drops, including the bonus drops, will be granting you a whole load of power. So it's just a much faster leveling process than it was when Edge of Fate launched. Also, your power will not be reset when Renegades launches, so if you're around 500 power, you'll be getting tier 5 drops basically as soon as Renegades starts, which is really good. But alongside this, anybody who is just starting out with Renegades, you'll be boosted up to 300 power, which is where you'll be able to start getting some tier 3 and maybe tier 4 loot as well, which is really awesome. Next, let's go over some other things that returning players might need to know in terms of the returner's boon, gift, and blessing. So basically, if you did not sign in or earn a total of 30 ranks during the current season, you will qualify for these benefits. The first one being returner's boon. This boon increases all experience gains for the next 6 months, and completing orders earns you a returner's gift up to 10 per week or until 30 have been earned in total. A returner's gift can earn a suite of one-time returner's gifts with 30 unique rewards upon completing orders. They are limited to 10 per week. Some notable rewards include numerous enhancement materials, tier 3 and tier 4 gear, exotic engrams, 1000 bright dust, iridescent engrams which contains past Eververse items you do not own, as well as the tower pamphlet emblem. Then you also receive, as well as that, the Returner's Blessing, where while playing with someone who has the Returner's Boon effect, and you do not, they will grant you the Returner's Blessing. The Blessing increases all experience earned. Completing activities while Returner's Blessing is active bestows random bonus portal engrams that you can earn when you next complete the activity, a chance to earn an exclusive emblem when completing activities, and finally, the Blessing will automatically complete some common orders when you complete activities to help reward you for accompanying a returning player. Basically just a whole load of buffs there for returning players, so now is a pretty decent time to jump in if you have been wanting to for some time now. Next, let's break down the Vanguard orders system, which is basically just going to be replacing the seasonal challenges as well as bounties system that we have come to know. This is basically just going to be your one-stop shop for all of them, so you'll be given these daily and weekly objectives that will be rewarding you XP and Bright Dust, and you also have your active orders, which will basically just be bounties that you can complete to get some rewards, and by completing these common orders, you can have a chance of getting a legendary or an exotic order, which will reward you with more XP and Bright Dust, which is really awesome. And you can also be completing these to progress through your little reward track down at the bottom here, so that then you can be getting a whole load of different currencies and rewards, which is also just very, very helpful. The biggest benefit to this is you do not need to go to vendors to pick any of these objectives or bounties up. They're all just there in one inventory that you can constantly have access to, and the active orders are going to kind of work their way to match the loadout you currently have equipped, so you're not having to constantly swap your loadout to complete these different challenges, which is really, really awesome. And these also spread across a whole load of different activities in the game, including PvE and PvP, so you can do literally whatever you want to be progressing this and getting a whole load of rewards. Next, let's go and talk about the Vanguard alerts, which I believe are coming a little later in Renegades. I believe the second week after Renegades launches, but this is basically a return to form in terms of having a suite of activities to go and do each week that will reward you with some unique loot. Think of this as a return to the weekly nightfall strikes that we used to have, but alongside this you'll also have some quick play options, some PvP options, as well as endgame options, including the most recent raid and dungeon once that launches. This is basically just going to be a thing for you to do each week and get some cool rewards from it. So it's basically just a better version, honestly, of the portal, where you have just a small collection of randomly selected activities where you can play through and just get a load of rewards, which is honestly really, really cool. And all of these activities do come with some challenges as well, so by completing these you'll be getting XP as well as chrono logs, which can be used to get a whole load of different items as well if you are at all interested. I believe these can range from bright dust engrams to exotic engrams and even some exotic materials, which is really, really good. Alongside that then, we then also have complete breakdowns for updates to our weapons, armor pieces, and our entire subclasses. Now, whilst I'm not going to go over literally everything that's mentioned in these, some standouts for me personally in terms of the legendary weapon updates, mainly the one to look out for here is the nerf to rocket pulse rifles, where their base reserve ammo has been reduced from 18 to 14, and they've reduced the enhanced ammo brick pickup in PvE from 6 to 5, which is not really the biggest nerf, but still something to take note of. And then for exotic weapons, Ace of Spades and Hawkmoon are getting some insanely big buffs. Alongside that, Osteostriga is getting its Poison Burst cooldown reduced from 4 seconds to 2, so if you've been wanting to take that weapon out for a spin, that's now going to be more consistently spreading that poison effect. Buffed Still Hunt's Golden Gun damage while using Celestial Nighthawk by 40%, allowed Sniper's Meditation to also buff Still Hunt's Golden Gun shots as well, alongside the Golden Gun buffs that will mainly allow you to use your golden gun while standing in a well of radiance. This is going to be insanely good for hunters. Alongside that, Izanagi's Burden, the special reload, once again scales with the reload speed stat, which is amazing, and just a whole lot of other stuff here, which is honestly really, really good. And then we have some other updates here to different weapon perks. Biggest one here is going to be Rampage, where it now only loses 1 stack of the buff when the timer expires, and this does include Huckleberry, and you can just read all the other buffs there to different perks as well. For the abilities, like I mentioned, Golden Gun Hunter getting a whole load of buffs there, as well as Night Stalker Hunter. So if you've been wanting to use Tether, now is going to be a very good time to do so, as it is now going to be one of the strongest weaken effects in the entire game. Other buffs there for your Stasis, Strand, and Arc supers as well. For the Warlock, we are eating so good this expansion. And Nova Warp getting some little buffs there, Dawnblade receiving a 20% damage buff, and the projectiles now scorch enemies by default, which is amazing. Stormcaller also getting some buffs there from Storm Trance and Chaos Reach, as well as the Ionic Sentry no longer blinding you on creation, which is amazing. Alongside that, Shadebinder is getting a 210% damage buff, which is insane, and Strand Broodweaver, Needlestorm Needles now prioritize bosses, mini-bosses, and champions, which is going to work very well with an exotic armor update we'll talk about in a bit. But the main thing here is that all Warlock subclasses, your rifts, are now able to be placed whilst moving at roughly half speed, which is just insanely, insanely good. Now, Titans, in this article here, it doesn't really seem like you're getting all too much of a decent buff, but it was detailed in a recent developer livestream that the Void Sentinel shield super buff is actually going to be very, very good, with allies that are behind your shield will have their weapons reloaded every 2.5 seconds, and alongside that, the amount of damage that your shield takes when you do your throwing melee attack, which is your throwing shield, this will apparently do as much damage as a Thunder Crash, which means that this might just be an insanely good super for both support and overall DPS. We're obviously going to have to test this one out, but it is something to keep an eye out for when playing through Renegades. And then finally we have our exotic armor tuning preview. Not going to go over everything here, just the standouts. Hunters for you guys, standouts for me include the buffs to Graviton Forfeit and Lucky Raspberry, as well as Orpheus Rig and probably Omnioculus as well. All of them are just very, very good generic buffs to all of these exotics. Titan's Arbor Warden is going to be a very interesting exotic now due to it being able to work with the barricade modifications like Drenger's Lash and Storm's Keep. And then alongside the buffs to Void Titan, Ursa Furiosa and Second Chance, also getting some buffs there, which is also very good to see and something to keep an eye out for once again if that super buff ends up being anything worthwhile. And then Warlocks, we are probably getting the most amount of buffs here. Nothing manacles, the grenades are now actually going to be worth using, so very good buff there alongside the changes that we got to our grenade stat generally within Ash and Iron. Alongside that, Riot Binds, getting another buff there, so if you're a fan of Void Soul, going to be very, very good. Storm Dancer's Brace, I believe now increases damage based on hits rather than kills, which is amazing. Winter's Guile, if you're a fan of melee builds, definitely 100% go and get a good roll of this, because this just seems absolutely insane with the amount of buffs it's getting. And Mattia Doxia finally here is going to be probably one of the best Warlock exotics now, with it basically acting like a Curus or Celestial Nighthawk, but for Warlocks with our Needle Storm super. Alongside that, Dawn Chorus with the buffs to Dawnblade as well. It's going to be very, very good as you'll be able to ignite a target with just one projectile from your Dawnblade super, which just sounds, once again, absolutely insane. All of the class-specific buffs and changes all seem to be focused on just buffing pretty much everything, so go ahead and have a fun time there with all of these changes once Renegades launches. And that's quite literally everything that you need to know before Renegades goes live. Once again, it goes live in just a couple of hours, so be sure to pre-download once the pre-download goes live so you can jump in as soon as possible. With that said though, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you did, if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, I would very much appreciate it, because I'll be posting so much Renegades content, and I'm also going to be live on Twitch shortly after the update goes live, so be sure to follow me down there as well. With that said though, once again, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.